Meghan and Harry fight back, desperate to save Sussex's reputation with a new dirty trick. Amid claims that their empire is crumbling, they are ready to tell their side of the story. Bill Simmons sure didn't hold back, did he? The sports writer and Spotify exec really railed on his podcast on June 16th, saying, "I wish I had been involved in the Meghan and Harry leave Spotify negotiation." Now, this came after the announcement that Harry and Meghan had mutually agreed to part ways with Spotify 3 years after they signed that $20 million deal. It may sound harsh, but he is not the only one who's critical of the former senior royals. Practically everyone in Hollywood is talking about how Harry and Meghan's empire is crumbling, according to a source. Stars including people like Bethany Frankel and Kelly Osbourne and Howard Stern have publicly come out and criticized the two of them amid speculation that their $100 million Netflix partnership is also at risk. The source says they were basically fired by Spotify, which is embarrassing, but Harry and Meghan are now fighting back by telling their side of the story. Yes, they've made mistakes, but they have big plans for their next endeavor. And supposedly, they're the first to admit that they really struggled to figure things out in the wake of Megxit. Harry has opened up about how his father, King Charles, cut him off financially and wouldn't take his calls, says the source. And they were desperate to support themselves, so Meghan and Harry quickly signed deals with Netflix in September of 2020, and then they landed the Spotify deal 4 months later. Harry talked about the surprise move entering the streaming business, saying, "We hadn't thought about it. I just needed enough money to pay for security to keep my family safe." But according to sources, 3 years later, the two of them hardly did enough to earn their big paycheck at Spotify. Their company, Archwell Audio, produced only 12 episodes of Archetypes. Now, business insiders are claiming that they probably are not going to get the full $20 million payout. Meghan has also been accused of faking parts of the podcast, passing off interviews as her own when in fact her producers conducted the interviews. The source reports one journalist exposed her lies by pointing out that she was interviewed by someone else, even though the episode was edited to make it sound like Meghan was reacting to her. An insider goes on to say that Spotify executives were, quote, forced to be much more hands-on than expected, and they still didn't get much out of the partnership. And Harry and Meghan also don't have much more to show for their Netflix collab. Aside from the bombshell Harry and Meghan docuseries and a series focused on the Invictus Games that still doesn't have a release date, quote, they've been all talk and no action, according to this insider. Now, Meghan's passion project, the animated children's show Pearl, got canceled. Harry and Meghan clearly got in over their heads, says the source. Netflix may not renew its contract, they just didn't do the work. But Meghan apparently does not appreciate the idea that they're just resting, not doing anything. She's telling friends she prides herself on her work ethic and hates being labeled an opportunist. The source also says she always has irons in the fire and ideas brewing. But unfortunately, her ideas have not turned into reality. Signing with the Hollywood super agent Ari Emanuel in May, quote, was a step in the right direction, something she should have done earlier, according to the source. Meghan is talking about how Ari has a lot of big plans for her that will be shared soon. It's all about rebranding now. Meanwhile, Bill Simmons continues to talk bad about Harry. What does he do, asks the executive, who is threatening to tell everything about an apparently damning Zoom call that he once had with Harry to talk about podcast ideas. He also said, you sell documentaries and podcasts, but nobody cares what you have to say about anything unless you talk about the royal family, and you just complain about them. So experts are saying the focus is probably going to be on Meghan instead of Harry. She's looking to become a global celebrity influencer like her pal Gwyneth Paltrow, according to the source. Rumors have been circulating that Meghan had signed with the luxurious fashion house Dior, which counts people like Charlize Theron and Jennifer Lawrence and Kristen Stewart as brand ambassadors. But the source notes that was denied, but it didn't hurt that her name was out there in connection with the prestigious brand. A deal like that could be worth millions. And Harry and Meghan are apparently desperate for the money. The source says money is definitely becoming a problem again, noting that proceeds from Harry's blockbuster tell-all did help out, but it's still not enough. Spare helped keep them going for a while, but that money is going to run out very quickly. They'll do whatever it takes to maintain their posh Montecito lifestyle, says the source. Harry even agreed to do a public therapy session in March, a 90-minute live stream event with trauma expert and author Dr. Gabor Mate. Harry's also hinted that he's considering writing another tell-all book. The source says nothing is off the table. He and Meghan know their opportunities haven't gone as planned, but they're determined to stick it out and become a success, no matter what. So why is it that Harry and Meghan keep on finding themselves being sent packing? I suspect that is because their greatest talents are being delusional, filing lawsuits, whining, lying, grifting, biting the hand that feeds them, and also intruding on other people's privacy. And calling these things talents is really a stretch, because the thing is, they're not even good enough at those despicable behaviors to keep from being called out. Although, in all fairness, supposedly they went packing themselves first. It's not like Meghan Markle actually has a nice voice, and the only thing she ever wants to talk about is herself, which has to be the least interesting topic ever. Meghan does not understand what dialogue means. Her rhetoric is just on loop, filled with a bunch of word salad nonsense. Her business ventures are always very shady, and she's too lazy to follow her own oft-repeated advice in every single speech. And then what about all the race baiting, the fake empowerment shtick that she loves to go to, which is basically just her telling everybody how great and wonderful she is, her incredibly bad taste in fashion, and also the super obnoxious nicknames that she loves to throw into her word salads like H and has and glow. It is enough to drive anybody crazy, and we're not even going to bother with her mysteriously moving baby bumps, the claims of being clairvoyant, or the fact that she's just a complete idiot. People who really are smart are not always saying and doing things that are so easily disproven. Meghan steals things that she can't afford to buy, and then she wears them when she goes to these depressed countries in Africa, and she whines about how difficult her life is as a royal. And Harry, where can we even begin? Every time I start to feel a little bit of sympathy for him, there he goes showing up with that awful expression on his face and that arrogant attitude, and then he opens his mouth to deliver a bunch more nonsense. It would probably be easier to hibernate with polar bears than to live with his cringy, needy, whiny mommy problems. The man went on record saying that he believes that Meghan sings to seals and they sing back to her. What was he talking about? And he also really believes that Meghan communes with his deceased mother. He's got no shame, even though goodness knows he has more than enough to be ashamed of, and his narrative goes from incredibly rude and dumb to, oh my goodness, there is not enough mind bleach. The better question would be, why would anyone want to be close to them, let alone invite them over? And you, what do you think about this couple? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. Don't be afraid to like and share my video with your friends and relatives who would enjoy it too. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.